Welcome to the Got Any Cows podcast. If you want to learn all you can about the beef cattle industry, this is the podcast for you. My name is Seth Christensen. My company has sent beef cattle genetics to 45 of the 50 states and 12 countries around the world. I've had the chance to learn from some of the best and brightest in the beef cattle industry, and I invite you to join me for those conversations here on the Got Any Cows podcast. I'm here on another episode of the Got Any Cows podcast with my friend Chelsea Halderman. We've called Courtney tonight. We called Velma tonight. You know? But Chelsea has come here from Ohio, all the way out here to Idaho to join us today. So thank you for traveling, Chelsea. And if you would, give us a little bit of an intro as to who you are and where you come from.
Chelsea. I come from New Paris, Ohio. I first got into the cattle business by, I was raised on a cattle farm in New Paris, Ohio. My mom and dad worked together on, running the cattle, and we do shorthorn, Maine Anjou, crossbred. They first had a production sale. I don't even know. I had to have been a teenager at this point, but Craig Ryder, Primetime Agri-Marketing, actually managed our live auction at the farm. Yeah. So our first one was actually at our farm, and it was called the Winter Circle with Gene Rao, Regan Bowman, my dad, Alan Halderman. And from there, Primetime, Craig Ryder offered me a position to clerk auctions for him. So I started traveling, doing clerking, and at the time, after I did that through college, and after that, I was working in a nursing home. And
in a nursing home, really?
Yes.
What took you that direction?
Well, my degree is in exercise science.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes,
So you'd studied exercise science. That had you working at the nursing home, but you had lived and worked and done everything around cattle marketing. So you've done both. Two worlds there a little bit.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So after my exercise science degree, I did I got a master's in business administration.
Good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So Craig, I mentioned to him that I was getting out of the nursing home world, looking for a new job, and he extended the offer of, they just started this new business, SmartAuctions. It's all online. At the time, it was very new,
When would this have been, Chelsea, if you were to think back roughly what year?
This was 2017.
Okay, yeah, yep.
And at that time, they had the auction, they had SmartAuctions for 3 years at this point. Okay. And that was not a thing back then. It was very, very slow moving at first, and the season before I came on is when it really started picking up.
So pause and kind of walk us through real quick, just what is SmartAuctions? When you mentioned it was new or it was different or it was distinct, you know what I mean? This was a foreign principle almost for people as to sell cattle in this way. What is SmartAuctions for people that may not be familiar?
Yeah. SmartAuctions, it's a platform to sell online frozen genetics. So Craig Ryder and Jason Barber and Dustin Layton, they started this SmartAuctions. It is a timed auction company where it's exclusively online. It's at your fingertips. Great mobile. It's so user friendly. I feel like it's just, there is a learning curve for cattle industry customers. It's not, they weren't quick to, want to jump to an online platform. People want to be in seats. People want to go to an actual auction. Yeah. But I feel like the SmartAuctions platform makes it so easy, and I think that it's been enjoyable for. I think a lot of our customers really enjoy using it, and more than that, I think that our folks that are selling their animals, selling their frozen genetics, it's such an amazing outlet for them to get their product to their consumer. So
walking through, like you'd mentioned, maybe a more traditional sale format would be the live auction format, where people are all together, they're all in a physical space, cattle can literally be run right through the ring, the auctioneer's there live, the bidders are there live, And that's maybe what people are used to in the livestock industry, or that's the traditional approach, traditional method. And there's a lot of good to it. I mean, I still participate in live auctions.
Oh
It's
my
still a
gosh,
neat
yeah,
thing. It's a
they're
fun thing. Yeah. But it does come with constraints. Being physically present, it can be challenging. I mean, in a lot of different ways. And especially when you hit that COVID window, all of a sudden, it's not just challenging because travel is challenging, period. It's challenging because people can't get together at that point in time. And so just looking at the physical constraints of the logistics of a live physical auction relative to an online auction, and then looking at, we talked about kind of creating that sense of urgency relative to private treaty offerings, because you can have things available that kind of just sit available. When they go to auction, they're designed to go to sale, and the price is determined by whatever another contending bidder says, hey, I'm willing to pay up to this point and no further. And so it is a neat tool from a price discovery standpoint. It is a neat tool kind of creating urgency for the buyer standpoint. And it is a neat tool to be able to, I can trade very comfortably from right here, right where we're sitting. I have sat right here and closed a series of auctions while you are in presumably Ohio, though I don't actually know where you're at the time. You're in Ohio, I'm in Idaho, and we can have buyers. The last auction sent product to buyers in 17 states. All of which, they may have been at home or on the road or anywhere in between, and were able to participate in that auction. So walk us through, I guess, from your point of view, Chelsea, SmartAuctions and what it offers relative to private treaty or relative to live auctions, and why should someone consider this sale format relative to the other options in the marketplace?
Yeah, you said it best. You've sold to 40 different states. It gets your name, it gets your brand out there so much. People that, didn't even know your name. We have 15,000 users on the SmartAuctions database. They receive text messages. We send an text blast out to these when we open the auction. And in their homes, comfortable, maybe in their beds.
Absolutely.
It comes straight to their phones, and they were able to look at Seth Christensen's offering. And just that is, and you mentioned COVID. Yeah. I think that is where our business really erupted. Right when I started working for SmartAuctions in 2017, we did around little over 100 auctions in that time frame. And I think that COVID, that was such a great, I was so proud to work for SmartAuctions during that time, because people were put in a bad situation where they weren't able to get people in the seats, and it was needed. It was very necessary at the time for people to maintain their livelihood. Yeah. So that was really neat. We were able to give that service to folks that really needed it at the time. At that time, we ended up being around 200 in auctions in that year, probably 2019. And then we maxed out 2022, and it was around 250 auctions that we held that year. Sure. But I think we have kind of steadily stayed around that number, and we're not trying to be the most auctions held company. What we take pride in is to really give a great service and attention to detail. I take pride in myself. I take pride in having information, getting information from my customer, and getting it up as soon as possible. Sometimes I love it when I get a spreadsheet in the morning, and then that evening I give them their sale, and they're like,
right.
Whoa.
Right. The turnaround is so fast.
It's the best feeling. Yeah. And I want to be able to continue that. So, our customer service is what we really pride ourselves on, and just being there for our customers. But yeah.
Well, and it's been a huge blessing to me, to be able to have that responsiveness. And I know when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to the person doing it. It's not, 40 layers of management, or this robot or that robot or this, there is a direct personal point of contact that I know, hey, if I contact Chelsea and I need X, Y, and Z done, you make it happen. and it's not a question of like, who do I even ask, or who do I talk to, or when will they get to it, or am I important enough to be taken care of, or whatever. Like, I know that you'll handle it. I know you'll make it happen. And that's been a really positive thing for me in my business. And as I look, even for me, sitting here, and you mentioned, some of the growth that we've been able to see through Smart Auctions and through the sales that we've done with you guys, but relative to the other two sales avenues, now we still participate in both live auctions and in private treaty offerings. But I feel like one of the things that makes it unique to be able to sell in a timed auction setting is that private treaty stuff can kind of just sit, and people can sit on the fence and people can wait. And honestly, that's part of how we use Smart Auctions as a tool within our marketing plan, is we say, hey, if people aren't going to pull the trigger and get it done and make it happen, we're going to put it up for auction. And maybe they get a great buy, and maybe they pay more than what the list price was, but it's going to trade, and it's going to trade on this day at this time, and this auction's going to close out. And so it's been neat in that sense to keep our inventory current. It's done a good job that way. And then we don't have to worry about, I don't have to prepare all of our facilities and all of our cattle and a physical auction setting and host a pile of people and worry about who can and can't show up and who will and won't show up and what that's going to turn into as far as actual sale revenue and how that'll all be. So it's not all of the logistical challenge of the physical setting, but it adds a lot of sale opportunities with the auction, with it being an auction, but not requiring a physical live auction. So it's been positive that way. And as I look back, on my auction experience, I mean, there's a series of platforms that do offer timed auctions or online only auctions. And there's a lot of different ones, and they all, do a good job in their own way. Each of them will serve, kind of a different client or maybe a different target market or whatever that may be. And as we did with our genetics program, we did the same thing with our marketing program in the sense that we tested a little bit of everything. And I tried sales on a lot of different platforms just to see how they would go, and worked with some different people, some different platforms, some different sales avenues. And, I'm not blowing smoke at you to say it was a landslide for Smart Auctions relative to the other platforms I tested. And that's not to try to slander any of my friends that participate with any of those other settings, But for us, for what we were doing, the new client acquisition piece, has always been extremely valuable. We pick up new clients through our relationship with Smart Auctions, and that's been very valuable.
Yeah, definitely. I'm
it's been really good.
Thank you so much for your kind words. Like that means a lot. I mean, you've been with me for, 2017 was when I started, and then you started with your guys' first online sale was in 2019. And you've steadily picked up from there. And a lot of your success is based off of, your consistency. We generally, sometimes people come in and they inquire about having an online sale, and it's important to realize that it takes years. You've been at this for 6 years now, online sales. Yep. So, that your success didn't just happen overnight. It was multiple sales a year. And now you were up to, I think in the past 12 months, you've done 4 auctions with us. Yep. So, gradually building off of what you had, it doesn't happen overnight. It's like, I really admire how consistent you've been, and it's amazing.
I appreciate that. And it has, Smart Auctions has added value, and that's why we keep doing it. And as I look at, there's a lot of different platforms out there that we could use or that we did use, and in a lot of cases, I felt like all the platforms we're providing was literally just a bidding service, and it was still my clients going to someone else's platform to bid on my cattle. And so I wasn't acquiring any business as a result of using these platforms. And so the thing I really have appreciated about Smart Auctions is not only does it provide the service that, yes, it can accept bids, and it makes, like you mentioned, it makes things so convenient.
Oh, functional.
It's so easy.
It's so easy to
like
use.
Literally all the person has to do is be willing to hit the button, and they can bid. And it's convenient, it's easy. I really appreciate the text function, that we know people know when the auction opens because a text shows up. People know when the auction is closing because a text shows up. And people know when they've been outbid.
Outbid, yes.
Because
That's a big,
text
that's
shows
a
up.
vital.
That's a big deal, you know, and even with those things, you know, there's still a couple platforms that have some of those functions, but there again, when we talk about client acquisition, you know, and that it's not just people that have bought from me for forever that are going to buy from me via smart auctions. You know, we've had several long-term relationships that started with an auction purchase, you know, they made via smart auctions, and then we've dealt with them from there forward.
I mean, all your
know?
avenues. You have so many different avenues that you sell your cattle. I mean, each one of those avenues, you're constantly picking up customers. Like there's that piece.
Yes.
I think if you want to be successful in the industry, you have got to have that piece. Like we are there. Like we are there where you need to be having online sales, you need to be having live sales, or just, you know, how you are privately selling. You know, that's basically. Do you have a lot of folks that come out and do it face to face? Yeah.
Yep. We do all of the above. You know, we do a lot of sight unseen purchases. We do a lot of purchases. I mean, we'll have people buying from us off our website. We'll have people buying from us off a series of other listing platforms. So just classifieds type listings, that it's a buy it now type listing, not an auction. We've got people buying from us via consignment sales, so live auctions that we consign to. We've got people buying from us that are placing custom orders. You know, I mean, we've got people buying in a series of methods. So just like Smart Auctions provides new buyers to me, we're bringing new buyers to the Smart Auctions platform.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like there are people that come, their first interaction with the platform is because they know me, they know my brand, they've dealt with us, and they know, hey, there's going to be an opportunity to buy from Seth via Smart Auctions. If they want to participate in an online auction format, the bulk of that we do is going to happen via Smart Auctions.
Yeah, we've had several Akiyushi breeders come to me and ask about our service, and most have said your name and said, we're here because Kristen Genetics, we've been doing business with them. And yeah, I mean, that's another thing that I love hearing. I love building a sale same day. And I love when I hear our customers are gaining customers from our service. And I think that is one vital thing that we bring to the table is, those texts and being so easy to use. And I mean, you just get, the ability to reach so many more people. So you can't beat it.
Yeah. And I think, you know, it's like, truthfully, for any business transaction ever to continue to work for an extended period of time, just like what we've been doing as we've worked together with the Smart Auctions platform, there's got to be effort being put in on both ends. And we've been doing our part as a company to try to continue to drive traffic to our brand, just like you guys have continued to provide the quality service you do with Smart Auctions, the quality product you do, doing a good job putting up those sales, running a million edits. I mean, every auction I've ever given you, I've made you do 10,001 edits, and I so appreciate. I mean, because it fine tunes it, and it gets it sharp, you know, and it's put together how I want it to be put together. And every time we do that, I'm not expecting you to sell every one of those animals for me, but also I don't feel like you're expecting me to say, hey, Smart Auctions has no buyers, I need you to bring them all, or else the platform won't sell anything. So I appreciate that there is. I feel like both sides are pulling their weight. You know, there is value being brought by you and by the Smart Auctions platform, but I don't feel like I come in expecting you to do it all for me.
I really appreciate you saying that, just because that's what we take pride in, to bring customers also to our customers. So
absolutely. So if you were to looking at if somebody was considering Smart Auctions for the first time, and you're walking through, somebody calls up and says, hey Chelsea, I just saw Seth ran a sale with Smart Auctions, it went well, and I'd like to do one, and I'm a new breeder and I've never run an online sale before, or at least I've never run with Smart Auctions before, what are you going to tell me as far as what to expect and like what it costs? What do you have to pay to be able to run an auction via Smart Auctions? And then what did they get as a result of that cost? What does that look like for somebody first exploring the option of running a sale with you?
Yeah, our most basic price is we have a $1,500 minimum to run an auction with us. And at the $21,500 gross amount, that turns into a 7% rate. So that's where, you know, $1,500 is 7% of 21.5. So that's where that comes from. But I would say, I mean, it's so easy. We just need, when do you want to have your auction close? I mean, there's been times, I mean, you know this personally, there's been times that, well, just this past auction, 3 days. I want to have a sale 3 days from now, or I want you to build it to sale 3 days from now. And we've flown it up. Like, it really is just the organization of the sale also. Like, we work a lot in Excel sheets where, you just put in your product information, and from there, we do really appreciate like good photography, good videography. I think videography on like heifer sales, we have a lot of heifer sales coming up in October. Our fall is filling up quickly, but videos are so vital for an online sale in my eyes, and photos as well. But honestly, like, you experience differently. Like, you don't have a lot of...
We don't do a lot of live animals.
Yeah. I mean, you do so many pregnancies, but you still, and you don't have a lot of videos on
it's primarily
on
pictures.
the donors either.
Correct.
But it's still, I mean, it works so well for you. It all depends on what you're selling. Like, if you're selling like a show heifer or,
if it's something like that where it's all based on the eye appeal, you have to show the eye appeal.
Yeah,
You'd have to have a
100.
video.
Yes, definitely. So videos, photos, so important to hire a good photographer, videographer. Basically, you would work with me primarily, and I would gather up all of your information. I like to have the information around 10 days before the auction closes. Your sale will... Right away, I'd have your sale listed on our homepage, which, I mean, during fall time, during our busy season, I mean, the traffic and the amount that alone advertises your event is unbelievable. But basically, give me 10 days, have your auction up, and from there, after we have it up, it's around 7-day point that I will send out a text blast to, like I said, that 15,000 user base. And midway between, like, we usually send out an e-blast around 3-day mark, sometimes day of. And then the day of close, around 90 minutes to 60 minutes. We kind of think it used to be 2 hours, but 60 minutes seems like a really hot spot. People are so busy, People are outside, they forget an auction is closing that night, and you get a ping on your phone 2 hours before it closes. You might, I have time to finish this up, and the next thing you know, you forgot about the whole auction. So that 60-minute mark, we usually like to send out that closing reminder text. And what you said earlier, anytime anybody bids, you get a congrats, you're leading. Anytime you get outbid on that item, you've been outbid. I mean, you could even just text numbers to get back in on that item. I mean, it's just so at your fingertips. I mean, you can be outside working still. We're bidding while you're finishing your chores for the day.
Honestly, I'd about recommend that somebody do that. Like, the most common mistake I see made is that people wait to get in at all until the very close. That's the most common mistake I see made. I forgot about it, or I got busy, or I had whatever else going on, or whatever else. If you'll just get in on your favorite bids early. So if somebody will get in, you mentioned, a sale opening, say 7 days before the close date. If they'll get in, figure out exactly which lots they're after, take those early bids. It's as cheap as that price is ever going to be. Take the early bid instead of waiting until the absolute last minute.
And then you get an outbid message.
Now you get an outbid message, and
like
you can literally text
forget.
back.
Yeah.
Like, if I know that I want these 4 lots, get in on the 4 lots.
100%.
And it'll text, and either best case scenario as a buyer, you don't get outbid, and you got them bought cheap. Or B, it'll text you right at closing. All you have to do is text back, like, bump it up or let it go.
Yeah,
what I mean?
definitely.
And it's that simple. And waiting to bid at all until the close is I would say, is the most common mistake in the buyer experience, because you could make it so easy if you'll just get in on your stuff early. And then you can bump back text responses as it closes. You don't even hardly have to be. I'd love it if everyone was glued right to their screen when we're closing.
Yeah, that's just
but
not
if they
the
can't
case.
be,
like on an evening,
shoot a text back. No big
7
deal.
Central closing time on primarily we have 7 Central closing time on every auction. There's some variations, but mostly that's the case. And I mean, what are you doing at 7 p.m.? You're busy finishing things up, or you're doing things around the house, you're eating dinner. I don't know what it is, but yeah, early bids, you should definitely do that. But back to what Smart Auctions provides. So that is the auction experience, leading customers to your particular auction. Like, that's the biggie. That's the main point. That's the main goal. But after the auction wraps up, we do all of the invoicing. We have several different forms of payment where we send out a credit card link. And then after that, I'll send invoices, and they can either do an ACH e-check. They can do just a regular paper check. With snail mail, though, I always suggest not to do that.
Right.
But and then after, we try to get that's another thing. I'm a weirdo. I take pride in things like this. I love settling auctions as quickly as possible.
Right.
Like,
get them closed.
I think our record is, 5 days on one before, and it's so nice. But we get the sale wrapped up, we collect all the payments, and then we deduct the commission from all the proceeds and send out an ACH direct deposit to our customers. Or if they prefer a paper check, we can send it that way as well. But that closes basically our whole entire service with the online sale. But we're always here.
No one is middlemanning the client. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I've got a set of clients, you've got a set of clients. They have plenty of overlap between the two. And anytime that we can keep that client within both my ecosystem and the Smart Auctions, it's gonna keep feeding them back and forth. You know what I mean? It's gonna add people.
I appreciate your loyalty so much to our brand. Like, you finding us and appreciating what we provide and seeing that and seeing value there and sticking with it, like, that says so much about you.
I appreciate that. So, I mean, if somebody was looking at consigning to Smart Auctions for the first time and they were trying to kind of decide even what to consign or what to expect, like you'd mentioned, there is a $1,500 minimum commission. And so for me, when I was first deciding, what do I need to even put together, that was an easy way for me to kind of back into my math. I was like, okay, what percentage commission am I willing to pay? Meaning, what gross do I need to have as a minimum for me to feel justified in spending at least $1,500 in commission for your time to have you put the sale together? So like you'd mentioned, in the early days, it might have only been a $15,000 sale.
And that was a 10%.
That's a 10% commission, which I was comfortable with.
That's not terrible.
No, that was totally. That was what a lot of the platforms charged. It was a flat 10. With no minimum in those cases. So that was kind of when I was comparing platforms, I thought, I'm like, well, if there's some options at 10% with no minimum, then there's zero risk. But then, honestly, there was a lot less incentive for me to do as much work to really make the sale go. And frankly, there wasn't much being done on the other end either. So then the sales just didn't hardly go. And it was only a 10% commission, so that was nice. That was good. I mean, it didn't hurt me, but it didn't move me forward either. Whereas I knew with that $1,500 minimum, I needed to do a $15,000 sale for this to make sense. And then it's been really fun to watch that go from there. Yes, that's exactly it. I'm like, okay, I need to have enough product presented well enough and promoted well enough to do at least 15,000 gross, which that's kind of where we started. It was $15,000 sales, and then it was $25,000 sales, and then 50, and then 75. I think we've had a couple go over 100 now, and so that's been
several,
fun.
definitely.
Been neat to see. It's been fun. Yep. What should someone expect if someone was looking at doing their first sale with you? What do they need to even have as far as maybe total consignments, or what do you see from some of these first-time consigners, and what should they be targeting for kind of a minimum gross value of what they're going to consign to Smart Auctions?
I always suggest, or I see a lot of success when you're diversifying your offering, like, a few breads, some heifers. Like in your case, you've diversified your offering so much with pregnancies, the bull leasing, embryos, semen. I mean, I think that the more diverse your offering is, the more customers maybe one person is there to see the heifers, but then they see the frozen genetics and they're like, oh, that's kind of interesting to me. Or vice versa, like they came for a particular straw of semen, and then a heifer catches their eye. I think that you gain more customers by diversifying, and I would suggest there's not, I mean, we've had 300 head bull sales. Like we've had Leachman do, 300 head on our site, 44 farms just did like this summer. They had, over 100 head. And I mean, really, it's just, you want to have the best offering as possible and, put your best foot forward and, I think that there's no antidote. Like if heifers are your thing, I would add frozen genetics to it, but
there's two things you mentioned there that I think are worth repeating or bear repeating. One would be the diversification point when it comes even to supporting per unit values, because honestly, if all you have is 15 lots that are functionally identical, all you're doing is spreading the exact same buyers across 15 lots. And an auction by definition requires 2 people to be involved pursuing the same lot. And so all you're going to do is decrease your value per unit. And that's one of the things when we're designing what we're going to consign and what we're going to put into each auction. I don't want too many of the exact same type thing. I don't want too many pregnancies that are very, very similar.
Yes,
I don't want too many bulls that are very, very similar.
I see that for sure.
Because all it does is spread the bids across them all. If everybody says, well, they're all about the same, so we'll just shift our bid off of this one and onto this other one, you have a really hard time getting significant competition over anything. Whereas if you only have a few lots and even if you have a bunch of semen lots or you have a bunch of embryo lots or whatever else, they need to not be carbon copies or cookie cutter.
And what's your goal here? Are you just trying to sell them? Yep. Or are you making it competitive within your auction?
So the other thing that you did mention that I think bears repeating is to put your best foot forward. And this is one of the issues I see and this isn't just a SmartAuctions thing, this is auctions period. When people are selecting consignments, it is so easy to have people just select what they're trying to dump. Yeah. Stuff that it's coal product. It's stuff that
this
honestly,
is a marketing platform.
Exactly.
You are representing your brand here to X amount of people. Right. Don't you want to show your best? Like you want to put that best foot forward.
Right.
Definitely.
If people see that all that whoever it is that is trying to sell for the first time, that this is just all the stuff that they clearly don't want.
Yeah.
What does that say about your program or your brand or what it is you're selling? Or why would anyone be excited about the stuff like, well, these all should have been hauled off to the sale barn, but they're trying to get better money off of them by marketing them as registered cattle or as breeding stock that probably shouldn't have been breeding stock. Like, you do need to put up, if you want a quality paycheck, you've got to put up a quality product. And I see people miss the boat really consistently there, where they're saying, well, I have this animal I don't really want. I want paid as well as I possibly can be. I'm going to dump it onto literally any given auction platform or any given marketing service. And I'm just going to expect them to do it for me because I've seen stuff sell well on that platform before. That is asking for failure. It's asking for failure to take a low quality product, put zero effort into marketing it, dump it onto a platform like,
and
of course it's not going to sell.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, that's another thing that, me saying put your best foot forward. Like if you can't sell it yourself also, like if you can do the work and sell it yourself in, I don't know what outlet, it's like, if it's not sellable, we're not going to sell it either.
Right.
Like, we're going to try.
An auction is not a silver bullet.
Yeah, exactly. It isn't a silver bullet. That's exactly right. But honestly, SmartAuctions, I will brag on our customers here where we have a lot of quality auctions. We have so many offerings where I get the picture. I love October. Spring is more your frozen genetics.
Sure.
And no offense. Like, I just love the heifer pictures coming in and seeing everybody's offerings of live animals and like, I don't know, it is fun. It's a fun time of year. And we have some quality breeders. So so I'm not saying that people are putting, the stuff they can't sell up there, but like I do. if you want to have an auction, you have got to make sure that you have something that people want to buy. That's the name of the game.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So walk us through a little bit on the ownership of Smart Auctions, Chelsea. You're the administrator. So for me as the client, I'm working with you. But then there's 3 owners. Walk us through who they are and kind of how that came to be.
Yes. Yes, I'm the administrator, the auction administrator. I answer the calls, do all the sale building and whatnot. We have 3 owners, Craig Ryder, that I previously mentioned from Primetime Agri Marketing, Club Calf World, kind of. He was from Ohio and awesome management service. Donors Unlimited is a biggie that he does every year, and
Yes.
he started that.
That's one of the things that caught my eye, actually, about Smart Auctions was watching a Donors Unlimited sale through the platform.
Yeah, very neat, very amazing offering that they provide every year. It's coming up here in September. So, and then we have Dustin Layton. He owns Layton Auction Services. He is an auctioneer as well as he does sale management. Does a lot of Hereford, Angus, a lot of Oklahoma, Texas area. Brings a lot of auctions to the table. Like, he's a great manager. Thirdly, Jason Barber. He started out at Superior Livestock. He works with 44 Farms, Leachman, when they had auctions with us. He is now co-started Live Ag. The new. Have you heard much about Live Ag?
Yeah,
Yes.
I've actually participated in a Live Ag auction.
Oh, nice. How was it?
It was good. Yeah. I would say it's fun to see something like that because it is such a competitive space, especially when you're looking at kind of the scaled end of things, like kind of the superior type stuff. And so to see Live Ag in that kind of a setting, it has been kind of fun, kind of exciting because it's almost kind of like taking on big platforms. I don't know, established names, things like that. Yeah. So it's fun to see a new player in the space. Yeah. Even though, they're not new, which is why they're doing so well in such a large and established space. They're bringing a lot of industry expertise to the table.
It
doesn't feel like a new
company.
platform.
Yeah, they're a brand new company, but they have the best of the best working there and developing the brand.
And they've got some of the best consigners. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, they're running some of the heavy hitters are running via Live Ag, and that's no small feat, I guess, to bring that kind of clientele onto any new platform, regardless of who's running it.
Yeah,
so
very impressive.
Been fun to watch.
They are. They're definitely a business that's up and coming for sure. But
Yep. So Jason's doing that. So that's the 3 owners. So jumping over into, I guess, assembly and all of that end of stuff. Walk me through, I guess, the assembly process. And I know it from my end, I guess, but from your end, what all do people need to get to you? And what are maybe some common mistakes or things that you're really happy to see when people are assembling an auction, and things that you're like, oh, please no. I'm sure most of what I'm doing is more on the latter. Please no. So not again, Seth.
You and Haley, do
assembly.
Such a good job organizing your auctions. Like, you're always perfect. Like I said, we use an Excel sheet, very basic, name of the lot. We always link the pedigree to the site. People have to see that. Pictures, any photos that you have. I have a very good arsenal of photos, though. I have quite the photo collection, but we try to supply that on Seaman. A lot of the Seaman offerings, I already have most of the photos. But any information that you want to provide, locations of your frozen genetics, locations of your and contact numbers, all the information you want to provide to the buyer is what we need. And like I said, we provide all the documents to fill in. We don't let you forget anything. If you did forget anything, we will remind you. I will be giving you a call or a text, and we will get it taken care of. But it's a very simple process. If you're not keeping track of things, if you're good with your books and you have a record of all your animals and whatnot, it's very easy to form an offering from,
Yep. And I think, when people are deciding, and this is from my end, because obviously for me, I don't assemble nearly as many sales as you do. I'm just assembling mine, whereas you're putting together everyone's sales and getting them all on the platform. And I think, the thing I am probably most guilty of, especially when I was kind of first getting rolling, is chronically underestimating how much time it would take me to put the data together that you need, to populate the spreadsheet, right? And get the pictures where they need to be and get the registrations figured out. And so I think, if somebody's planning to run a sale, they need to make sure they give themselves ample time. They're like, hey, you do need to have your pictures completed. Yeah. You do need to have your registrations complete. Like both those things have lag time that is somewhat outside of your control. Like you've got to get your cattle ready. We did a whole episode on cattle photography as far as the amount of time it takes to get some quality pictures done and get them back from the photographer, so And so taking the time to get that together, registrations lag. If you're doing anything DNA based, plan on 6 weeks. It might be done in 3, plan on 6, and it's going to take time.
Registrations, that's so important to have your animals registered, let them be able to go to the site and see the EPDs and all of that information. It's so important to the buyer. Yes. And again, I want to commend you on how well you guys organize your information. I have had people take a photo of a notebook paper of reg numbers, awesome. Just reg numbers, like a paper, or
that's awesome.
A piece of notebook paper of their footnotes written out that I have to type. I'm happy to do it. Right. I'm happy to help them out, but it's going to delay your auction.
It takes more time. It takes more
exactly,
time.
100%. A bigger offering, you got to give me a little bit more time, but with yours, you're very organized, and that definitely streamlines the building process. So it is not, on my end, it's not something that I just stick your spreadsheet into a system and then it uploads. I have to go one by one and create the lot. So that is something that can be a little time consuming, but our platform is, top notch with technology, and, I think I appreciate how our technology runs even on the back end of it.
Right. Yep. Well, and I appreciate, I know that what we're selling is pretty unique, as far as all the information I'm giving you, specifically on things like pregnancies, right? That it's neither is it embryos nor semen, nor is it a live animal. It is halfway between point A and point B. You know what I mean? Yeah. It is in an Angus cow, but here's the sire and here's the dam and here's the info on the recip. And here, there's a lot of different things that have to go in there, but I appreciate you've been able to work around that and find a way to represent that, because that took a few iterations, of how do we represent this in a way that made sense to the client, because I'd have clients that just had questions like, what am I getting? You know what I mean? And for me, finding a way to communicate that, and finding a way to lay that out.
And I think that we've improved that. And so much, your photos, have improved over the years, and
that's mostly Haley. Well, my wife is a huge
your
help.
Descriptions, your photo descriptions, this isn't actually the cow you're receiving. This is the mother. This is the that's. I think that we've definitely been more detailed with all of that. So, and like I said, any information you want to provide to the buyer, think about it yourself. If you were a buyer, what all would I want to know about my purchase? So you just have to put yourself in a buyer's shoes and go from there. So
Right. And, and I think, if I think through, over these last 6 years, as we've kind of refined the process, because we've been running, it's the same platform with you and I as the same two people selling somewhat at least the same product. You're selling genetics, selling beef cattle genetics, but it's been a process. It's been a refinement throughout that entire time as to how to do it. And I think, probably the biggest pitfall for me personally, as someone assembling a sale, is just that I am, and this is probably just a personality issue, my ability to procrastinate and push right to the last second, and then pretty soon you're delaying sales, or you're having to cancel sales,
you're
or
not alone,
it's
there's a lot of procrastinators in the world,
to
and especially in this industry, and that is what that I understand that, as the administrator, as the sale builder, I don't even it does not bother me if it's like pushing it to the last minute, because I understand what it takes to put into, you guys aren't worried about, a sale build. You're worried about your animal outside,
or the kids that are running all over,
and
so on and so
life,
forth. Yeah.
I know how hard it is to get it all together, and it's.
And I've always appreciated your patience there, and I think
Thank you.
One of the things that I'm most excited about, like at this stage in our development and how we do sale assembly, and most of this again comes down to my wife, that my wife and I did. We sat down together and looked a year in advance, and we said, okay, here are the dates we can realistically pull off sales, because like you mentioned, it's not just a matter of scheduling around work or I guess scheduling around the workload of an auction. It's scheduling around the kids, and it's scheduling around the cows, and it's scheduling around family events, and it's scheduling around life, but we decided our dates a year in advance. And what that let us do, it's not even near so much just that, we set an arbitrary date. It's okay, now I know I need at least X amount of timeline, 6 weeks in advance. I got to make sure those registrations are done. You know what I mean? Months in advance, I got to make sure that my photos are at least scheduled, so then they can be taken, so then they can be edited, so then they can be back to me. When I say edited, I always hesitate to even say edited photos. People are like, heavy Photoshop. It's not what I mean. I mean, the photos, for a photo to be a professional, it's got to be cleaned up. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Distractions are pulled out of the background or whatever else. They're finished. It's a finished photo, not just a cell phone shot.
There's a weird gate in the background.
Right, exactly. Things like that. Yeah, clean that out. And so, but to have things ready, it just takes time. And so to have those photos ready and have those photos organized and have time, and that means I got to be a long ways in advance. I got to know what I'm going to sell. Do I not have images? Do I not have registrations? How much time is it going to take me to put all this information into a sheet? And just, it can all be put in most of the time in a day, but I have to sit down for a day and do it. And quite often, unless I put it in my calendar as this has got to happen weeks or months in advance, it's going to happen right about the day I have on my calendar. Like, we need to be running a sale today. Like, that's not the day you need to assemble the sale. Yeah. You know what I mean? But that's what I'll do. Naturally, knee-jerk, I will push it until I can't push it anymore. Yeah. And so, having a schedule and knowing hey, this is my marketing plan for the year, because I think the most common thing I see in myself and in others is going in with functionally no plan of and this impacts everything from breeding to marketing.
Set a date is so important.
Set a date and work backwards.
100%. Yep. And you said it takes you a day to organize your information, but your offerings are large. Sure. You have large offerings. 20 to 30 is normal for an offering. That would be a lot less than you. And we want it to be as seamless as possible. I hope that it doesn't take you too much time.
No, it's not bad. Most of it's that I write extensive footnotes as well. If I didn't write the footnotes I did, if I just went with a more generic listing, it would not take nearly the time. But I choose to write the footnotes because I've had really positive response to those, and it takes a lot of time to write individual footnotes that are accurate and well written on a per lot basis. I do it to myself to make it take that long.
Yeah, so many are in the boat. But auction day, the 10 days leading up to the auction should be your celebration. You're working so hard at your offering. Your whole brain is constantly put into how do I make my offering better? How do I make my herd better? And this should be a time that you're really showcasing all the work, all the hard work that you put in year around. So.
Right. Well, and I think it's been a huge benefit for me as well. And we've tested several different approaches as far as when do we open versus when do we close? How long does the auction sit open? Maybe share some of your insights, Chelsea, as to what you've seen both in my sales, but then in all the other sales you manage, as far as the amount of time to have the sale open. And I guess to preface that, I'm going to say it's a timed auction format, meaning people can bid from the moment it's open to the moment it's closed, whether you set that up to be hours, days, weeks, whatever that may be. And we've toyed with that. We've played with that a little bit. Walk me through what you've seen, and then I'll kind of share some of my experiences as to what we're currently doing and what I'm liking for my specific program.
Yeah. Well, goodness, I feel like there's so many different strategies. We've had auctions where it's just buy now offering, 30 days or 60 days. Yeah. We've had it open and just more like a marketplace where you go and and then for 60 days, 30, 60 days, you have advertisement getting people to the site, the amount of exposure, that's just going to give your brand a little bit more exposure, not the urgency.
Right.
You don't have the urgency there. Maybe I really like 7 days. I mean, you have a week to advertise.
I'd agree with you.
I mean, maybe people aren't participating the first 3 days, but they're seeing it. They see it.
Inherently, a lot of times it feels like they don't participate for 6.5 days, and then they extend the sale for 2 hours at the tail end.
It is a genuine marketing strategy. I mean, when you grocery shop, like you see, they do it now, is when you see something or say something out loud, you start seeing it on your phone. You start seeing it different places. And it's proven that if you see something multiple different times, you're more likely to
purchase.
Yeah, it's important to keep maybe 4 times. You need to have the opportunity to present it to the buyers at least 4 times. And you do a great job at, like, you do the e-blast, you do so much communication on your end as well, which I think that we together we're for sure averaging over 4 times, getting it to the customers and the users. But I like the 7 days. I just think it gives you the opportunity to, get those people in and seeing the offering, even if they just look and then they don't participate. Maybe 3 months next quarter, when you have your next auction, they get the information again and they're like, a little bit more interested. And then, 3 more months, they bid at this point. It's just like a consistent thing, and it's a brand. It's developing a brand. But I'm getting in the weeds here. But
no, you're completely right.
Quarter horses. We have quite a few horses on our site, breedings and whatnot. They love just like one sale was just 24 hours.
Right, yeah.
And that is like extreme urgency. That is like, you got, this is, and I can appreciate that because it's like exclusive. You only have 24 hours, you better get in. It really creates that, like I said, a sense of urgency to get in and get your bid in. Because of that 7-day window, maybe you say, you don't see much activity for this first 6.5 days.
Right.
I mean, it's just strategy. I don't know. There's just so many different ways to skin a cat. No.
You're right. No, but you're exactly right.
And
that's when we've tested kind of some of both, because I've participated in timed auctions that are only 3 or 4 hours. And Matt's an approach, and is leaning towards the urgency approach. We're saying like, hey, I have got to have this time blocked out. I'm going to be chasing it, but it can turn into a 6-hour ordeal, even if it is only 3 or 4 hours long, because it gets into extended bidding where every time a bid is entered on anything in the auction, the whole auction extends by 5 minutes, and it can take an hour or two past close to actually close. And so even in those settings, so that's the urgency approach. On the opposite extreme, I have toyed with the idea of saying, hey, we're going to leave it open for like 30 days, but then I think you lose all the urgency, on that end. Although you pick up all the availability, there's no way anyone is busy every second of a 30-day window. You know what I mean? Like, everyone should have an opportunity. And I think the 7-day that you mentioned, and that's what I would say today. If someone asked me today how long to open one for, I'd go 7 days, just because it ends up striking the balance between there is no way, almost no way.
You funnel those folks in, and then you also have a little urgency.
Yeah. That it's there. If someone says, oh, the day your auction closes, like, I am absolutely unavailable that day. Like, I don't want to lose the client, so it's open for a full 7-day window. Like, most people aren't going to be 100% unavailable for 7 consecutive days. Most. I mean, I'm sure there's an exception somewhere. Someone will call me and tell me, I do whatever for 7 days.
Yeah,
that's fine. But most of the time, people can find somewhere in there they can at least get a bid in, or they can at least participate. And then, they'd probably better still have things marked down at close to at least be in cell service, to respond with some bids or whatever else, because at close, without fail, the sale's supposed to close 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain. It takes an hour or two.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we have actually improved in our years. Is we start off with a 5-minute extending, and some auctions only do 2 minutes.
Sure.
Because buyers we want to give the buyers all opportunities to get into their lot that they want. And then that is what the glory is of like leaving the whole auction open for the whole 5 minutes after it extends is, okay, maybe this one is out of my price range. Okay, I'm going to hop to this one. So it's giving the buyer opportunity as well. But now I feel like we've made it so the buyers maybe don't have to have so much patience, where cutting down that time clock, like maybe a 3-minute shot clock or a 2-minute. And, if it's getting really late, maybe just a 60-second. Because, nobody wants to stay up all night. They want it to come to a close at some point. So we try to help that along as well.
For sure. And, and it's the catch-22, because I have had both responses from buyers. I've had buyers tell me, hey, that I've never participated in a racehorse style finish before. I don't like it. It's not what I want to do, and I won't do it again. And I'm like, that is completely fine. I have let those people know, if you've got a bid, like either I can take it for you and I'll take it and spend it like my own money, meaning if there's not a contending bid, it isn't going past X or whatever else. And that's just an on my honor thing. I'll take it to where there's a contending bidder.
I'm the same. I'm the same. If somebody is like, can you enter something for me? I'd like an auto bid of this. I'm like, mum's the word. Like I take pride into just being a sealed trap.
Yes, absolutely. And that's something, that the system can do it. You can put in a proxy bid. Yeah. But if people are uncomfortable putting in a proxy bid, that's fine. They can leave a bid with me, they can leave a bid with you. They can call a bid into a friend. I don't care how they go about it. But
and I'm not going to sit here and say everyone loved timed auctions. It's not for everyone. Most people have no problem with it, but there is a select few that just like genuinely distastes.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But
and
I think most people
you work
have come
around.
Yeah.
Oh,
definitely.
yeah. And I've had the opposite response too, where I've had people tell me, hey, I hate making significant financial decisions in a split second setting, which is what it is. If it's live auction, it's literally split second. Yeah. You make tens of thousands of dollars in spur of the moment, and people hate that. So I've had
5 minutes
both
to be
reactions.
like, oh, I don't know,
you can at least think it through in a timed auction setting. If somebody says, hey, we've got a pregnancy that's up over $20,000, I have a moment to think about it, rather than being I am forced to decide split second. Which anyway, so there's different buyers that prefer the different buy settings, or whatever else it may be. But I do think I appreciate that it provides ample opportunity, like you said, at the tail end of a sale. Switch lots, get off a lot, get on a lot.
Definitely.
There's no question people can participate. The other thing I was going to say, during that week period, in the time between when an auction opens and when an auction closes, as a seller, I think it's so important to not just assume, hey, I got a sale assembled. Clearly, every one of these lots is going to sell for ridiculous amounts of money, and it's entirely Chelsea's job to make that happen, and I don't have to do a thing. I think is just frankly irresponsible on the seller's end.
We've got to be collaborating on social media. Yeah. If you're trying to have an online sale, you need to have a Facebook, an Instagram. These are free platforms that you can market your items. And we love collaborating with our customers on social media, and I strongly urge you to use those free outlets. But word of mouth, calling customers, letting people know that previous customers know that, hey, I have an offering coming up, maybe. Yeah, a lot of word of mouth, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it's another one of those things that I would tell anybody considering running an auction to just not postpone things indefinitely, mostly because that's my first tendency, honestly. I have such a hard time. There's always so many fires to put out with kids and cows. Those two things by themselves, the kids and cows will eat my whole day, given the opportunity, without any trouble, right? And so if I'm going to make sure that an auction happens and happens well, I've got to schedule it all out in advance. And that includes this stuff that happens after the auction opens. Because after the auction opens, I have got to be sure we've got email blasts going out. I am paying to use other people's email lists. I am using our own email list. I've got to make sure we've got stuff going out on Facebook all the time. I want to make sure everybody knows on Facebook. I'm using Facebook groups. I'm using my Facebook page. I'm using Facebook pages I run. I'm using Facebook pages other people run. All of our previous buyers, I want to make sure they've got a call or a text. And again, that it's not right to the, and I should say, and this is still something I don't do perfect. It's easy for me to get right to closing. And I'm like, oh, I haven't personally reached out via call or text to these people that I know would be interested in this lot. Now I'm putting them in a time crunch, because if they didn't get one of the other previous methods of communication, they didn't get an email or Facebook or whatever else, I might be crunched, or they might be out at dinner, and I'm saying, hey, you ought to bid on this lot. It's closing in like 5 minutes. It's irresponsible, but I do it. I would get better response if I got that done further in advance. And so I think, the biggest thing, if someone called me and asked me, how do I run a sale successfully? I'll be like, okay, here's Chelsea's number, but here's a map. Like, you're going to need time. It takes months to really be ready, unless you already have all your registrations complete and all your photos complete. If those are done, like you mentioned, you can be pretty darn fast, but you don't want to be trying to assemble it and assume it'll all sell well, all like inside a day.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, having a marketing strategy, like that is the thing that you conquer. You have such a marketing strategy. I mean, what you said, you could reach out to all the different avenues, and I think that is just so key to a successful auction.
Right. It doesn't matter how great a thing is that you have to sell. If nobody knows about it, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter if it's on the world's best platform and the world's greatest auction administrator and it's the world's greatest cow there ever was. If nobody knows, who cares? Like, who's going to bid if nobody knows?
Definitely.
So I'll wrap out just the last couple of things here, Chelsea, just in respect of your time. You've got a drive ahead of you tonight, going from here to Jackson. So the last couple of things I want to touch on, I guess I'll roll through delivery of the products that we sell just briefly, so people have a feel for what that looks like. And then if you'd throw in any closing thoughts on how often maybe to run a sale, and or common mistakes, keys to success, just closing thoughts for someone considering running an auction for the first time. But while you're thinking about that, I would just say, sale day closing is not when everything is over. You know what I mean? Like, people still need to be invoiced. People still need to pay. You still need to coordinate shipment. You need to have a plan in place as to how you're going to make that happen. Who is going to handle frozen shipments? Is that, for us, that's Hoffman AI that handles that. But is that going to be, who's going to do that? You know what I mean? Is it me? Is it my wife? Is it the person down the road? Is it someone that's helping us?
Who's releasing the items?
Exactly.
Who's the contact person? Yeah, this is all important to the customer.
It's just communication. It's the same thing as trying to sell the items. It's once they're sold, communicating. What should people expect? And because there's nothing more disconcerting than for people to say, hey, I just processed a payment and I haven't heard a thing. You know what I mean? Like, you need to be proactive in letting people know this is how you go about paying. This is what will happen once you do pay. This is who you contact. This is who's going to get the frozen genetics to you. This is what it looks like for shipping timeline on the live animals. This is what to expect, And so communication, I think is key. But yeah, before you wrap up and head north tonight, anything that you would throw in here, Chelsea, to say, hey, if someone's considering running an auction, these are common mistakes to avoid. These are keys to success, or anything else they should be aware of before they reach out to you to book an auction.
I mean, frozen genetics, make sure your inventory is correct. Nobody wants to buy a straw of semen and it not exist, or
That's
you not
big.
know where it's
That's
at,
big.
or
Yep.
not knowing the storage location. Always being accurate with storage locations, accurate with all of your information.
I'll jump in and throw in you're completely right, because I've had the experience before where I just go off of my inventory and my inventory says, yes, I've got this straw or whatever else. You'd probably better verify physically, because inventory of frozen genetics changes all the time. All the time. Every time I breed a cow, it changes. Every time I buy a straw of anything, it changes. Every time we ship anything, it changes. You can have something released but that hasn't shipped yet, and you can sell it twice if you're not watching those releases. And so I think what you mentioned there is so important and so easy. Like, people think, oh yeah, I know what I have. Do you though? Because I haven't every time. And so double checking that inventory before you list it for sale.
Yeah, just definitely accuracy. I mean, it's your brand. Accuracy. Like, you have a customer that thinks that they bought something and, things go wrong.
I've had it happen to me. And it's a negative thing.
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, and it happens, but you've got to handle it with grace once it happens.
Right. You got to be proactive.
You got to make it
well,
up to the person.
You got to make it right.
Yes, 100%. I mean, that happens. Everybody understands that happens, but yeah, that's key. And marketing. You use your outlets. You use all the different tools that you have in front of, like today and age, like you have so many different tools to use. You use them all, you know, like do not just throw an offering on an online sales site and think that you need to be putting in the work as well.
Yeah, it is not your job as the auction administrator to make sure all of my stuff sells.
we
You'll
work
help
together.
me. You'll do everything you can. You know what I mean? You do a wonderful job, but it would be irresponsible of me to put all of the marketing weight of my entire program on you as the auction administrator.
Yeah,
That's irresponsible.
Definitely, for sure. So that's my two big things, but yeah.
No, I appreciate you mentioning those. And so I hope there's somebody out there that thinks through what they have and say, hey, I'm going to make sure my inventory is sharp. I'm going to make sure I've got a marketing plan put together. I'm going to map it out on the calendar, and I'm going to call Chelsea and put it on SmartAuctions.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from him.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate you coming all the way from Ohio to Idaho. I appreciate you being here.
You had some good steak tonight.
Absolutely.
I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Thank you, Chelsea. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
You bet. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Got Any Cows podcast. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts, and visit us anytime at gotanycows.com.